Picton wakes in soft light, a charming harbor town that opens onto vineyards and coastal treasures where boats bob and the day feels quietly promising. Cobblestone streets lead to waterfront cafes. Locals sip coffee as fishermen untie nets and seagulls wheel above. Taste and texture for coastal morning. Beyond the quay lie rolling vineyards and sunlit rows of grapevines, Marlboro's wine country, hinting at flavors that mirror the sea's crisp clarity. Hidden coves and weathered cottages dot the shoreline, each tiny bay a private postcard of mossy rocks, native bush, and quiet coastal life. We board the Interislander with gentle excitement, luggage stowed, cameras ready, slow inhale before the voyage that will thread islands and sounds together. Picton recedes as the wake widens. Harbor roofs shrink into memory, while the horizon stretches open, whispering violins in sea lanes ahead. We slip into Marlborough Sounds, a mosaic of emerald islands and shimmering channels, where every bend reveals another untouched inlet. Cliffs drape in native bush, waterfalls threading down to the sea, and the ferry hums as gulls wheel and call overhead. Small islands wear their history quietly, coves, jetty posts, and the occasional shack hinting at fisherman rhythms and sea-sprung lives. Sunlight pools and sheltered bays, painting water with turquoise and deep sapphire, while hidden caves promise quiet exploration and soft echoes. On deck we trade stories with fellow travelers, watch fishermen tend lines, and feel the slow, steady pulse of passage across protected waters. A panoramic sweep reveals the sound's scale. Headlands roll into distance, and each inlet feels like a small world of its own. Entering Queen Charlotte Sounds, the landscape grows more intimate. Narrow channels, steep forested slopes, and a hush that feels almost sacred. Islands rise like emerald loans from the sea, untouched sanctuaries where native birds call, and the wind moves through coral and rimu. Seals, birds punctuate the seascape, a curious cormorant, a resting seal, small dramas framed by endless water and sky. Bays mirror the sky, glassy reflections broken only by the ferry's passage. Time slows as the landscape feels remarkably generous. Tiny jetties and boathouses nestle in coves, each a human whisper against an otherwise wild, generous coastline. As sunlight slants lower, the sounds turn golden. Every ridge and inlet becomes a brushstroke of warm light and quiet grandeur. We head into Cook Strait, where open sea broadens the view, and wind and swell remind us of the ocean's raw, patient power. The ferry steadies in rolling water. Passengers wrap jackets tighter. Cameras click, and the horizon becomes an invitation rather than a limit. Coastlines blur to contour lines. The North Island silhouette offers a new promise as cliffs and beaches slowly materialize ahead. The crew moves with quiet expertise, the vessel a careful bridge between islands, tides, and the lives that anchor themselves to both. Wellington's skyline appears as a distant cluster of shapes. Anticipation rises as we angle toward the harbor entrance and city lights. A last swell, and we glide into calmer water. Mount Victoria rises behind the city, a green sentinel with sweeping lookout views. We dock and step ashore into Wellington's waterfront precinct, where creativity, history, and a lively cafe culture weave together around the harbor. The Beehive and Parliament buildings stand with quiet dignity, modern lines and heritage stone, telling stories of a nation's public life. We climb to Mount Victoria for a panoramic embrace of the city, rooftops, harbor, and hills, spilling into one generous view. Back at the waterfront, galleries and craft markets celebrate local makers with aromas of fresh bread and roasting coffee drifting along the promenade. Night settles and the city lights hum. Wellington feels alive and intimate, a capital that keeps its coastal heart in clear view. We rest at the Intercontinental Wellington, reflecting on the day's passage between islands, a journey of water, light, and small, unforgettable moments.